Okay, I'm actually doing this. This is actually happening. You bet your ass it is. For 15 years, I've wanted to make content. 15 years. Grew up in the time of like Tyler Oakley and Smosh and all these creative artsy girls with their ukulele, like Dodie. I remember I posted a video. It was my first ever video, but I posted it in high school and I deleted it. I remember this video getting actually a good comment. I got a good comment on the video, but there was just this fear of being seen, of what would other people think, how possibly cringy I'm being. It engulfed me. And this was at a time before influencers were really a thing, before any part of that culture was like that. And I felt like, well, if I don't have a masterpiece to say, or a masterpiece to post, or to draw, or to sing, what's even the point? What's even the point? But if there is no point, like, I think about my life and how much effort I've put into chasing things that I don't even want at all. Like, at all. I went into architecture school just to get fucking groomed and be left off with, like, what I honestly think is barely a practical degree right now, as robots seem to overtake our jobs now. And everything is just profit, 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 content, content, content. Like, what is actually happening to us as a species? We are not meant to live like this. For about 2 hours, I've just been walking around aimlessly, just with the fear of doing this, because I do want to do this, but why do I even want to do this? So I feel very, very extremely awkward on camera. So instead, I'm just decided, like, we're gonna do a makeup look. It's just gonna be what my creativity spawns to me. And I just want to talk about kind of all this pent up frustration I have with content creation and my fear of content creation. There should be another word for when you don't just procrastinate something, you start living in a false identity of it. Like, I don't just like, what on earth is 15 years of procrastination? That's not procrastinating. That's actual madness. It's interesting for me to be in a place where I'm no longer actually scared. Like, I'm not scared to do this. And I thought, like, well, my one video should be about this, and I should talk about this, and I should talk about this, because all these issues are so important. Things are important. Art is important. Music is important. Social justice is important. But at the end of the day, it's just I'm fried on the couch, laying in my bed, like, completely zoinked out. And then nothing actually gets done. In order to help causes, it feels like you need money to help causes. In order to have money, you need a job. But what happens when you're unemployed and your field feels like it's wisping away before your eyes, and there's no movement? And our culture is so obsessed with having a job. So there's this amazing piece of writing by Amy McNee where she talks about that she doesn't want a job. And I want to read it out to you because I feel like I resonated with it so hard. There is no greater crime in our culture than to not want to work. I suspect it is akin to not believing in God in the depths of the Middle Ages. If you doubted the Almighty, you kept fucking quiet about it, because talking out loud about that could get you killed. Declaring I don't want a job might not get me killed in today's society, but it would and has ostracized me. Work is now the Almighty. Having a job is our true north. When I left university, it became apparent that I needed to get a real career job. I did not want to do this. I did not want a full-time job. I did not want a part-time job. I didn't want to work in the myriad ways that it was being presented to me. I didn't want to work in a publishing house, as a personal trainer, as a receptionist, as a waitress, in marketing. Though I gave them all a shot. I scrolled through thousands of job listings, applied to hundreds of jobs, knowing it was not what I wanted to do. I couldn't believe that the rest of my life was going to mostly consist of doing labor for someone else. I couldn't believe no one else was making a fuss. Why is everyone so content to just accept these conditions? Why so intolerant to the idea? Was I so privileged, so precious, so lazy that I couldn't just accept that this is what life is? I remember the day I told my therapist I didn't want to work. She said, well, you have to have a job, Amy. I said, well, that's fucking bullshit. I didn't. I think I just cried. I think about this therapy session all the time. I felt so fucking embarrassed, ashamed, disgusting. I couldn't believe I'd said it out loud. I know now that my feelings were more complicated than simply not wanting to work. What I was trying to say was this: The system fucking sucks. I don't want to spend most of my life doing something that doesn't light me up. I don't want to spend my days working for someone else for their purpose. How can I live in a world that's demanding that of me? I have very little tolerance for suffering. I am sensitive, finely attuned, and as soon as I experience suffering, I have to pivot. I have no ability to stick it out. A quitter, you might call me, undisciplined, lazy, childlike, weak. You might call me. I certainly called myself those things. I now realize that my intolerance for suffering is one of my greatest gifts. I watch people who have great tolerance for suffering as they toil in lives they despise, and I think, wow, I'm weak. I have an intolerance for a life that doesn't sparkle. This is perhaps a better way to describe my condition, because I can suffer. You don't finish writing novels without an ability to withstand pain. You don't own your own business without being able to handle tax time. And that is true suffering. I can move through pain, but I have no intolerance for a life that doesn't sparkle. I must have magic. I demand a life that I love. These demands are reasonable. I want you to have these demands too. I wish my therapist had responded to me by saying, we live in a capitalist world. You will need money to live, but there are so many ways you can rebel against a system that wants you to be compliant and stagnant and unfulfilled. There are ways you can reclaim your life and demand magic from it. You don't have to work the way society is asking you to. In fact, it's imperative that you don't. Through most of my 20s, I fought for a life that I loved. Yes, I worked in jobs I did not like, but I also refused to believe that this was it, that this was the way life had to be. Every job I took, I promised myself it was a means to an end, just for a little while. I wanted to be an artist, a writer. I wanted to tell stories for a living. I wanted to share ideas and connect meaningfully with this precious little time I had. And so I went about fighting for that. And it was a fight, but it was the most worthwhile fight of my life. In many ways, it was a fight for my life. So I really deeply resonate with that because, and it's sad too, because I applied to over, I think at this point, the number has to be about 300 to 400 jobs. I don't know. And it's so hard to just accept that while I'm applying and I want to work, in theory, I don't deep down want to work. And it's so interesting that we all accept this, like, well, everyone just has to work. And yeah, I agree, everyone has to work. But you know what also I think has to happen? That nurses and doctors should be paid way more. Professionals that actually carry society. I've had jobs in the past where, you know, there was stability, there was some prospect, but I feel like I just cannot work properly. I work in bursts and then it all just falls apart. It's like my brain refuses, or it's like putting my brain through absolute like psychological welfare to just do the same millennial stuff day by day and know that this is it, this is the life I'm living. And on top of that, with the economy and how it is, it's horrifying to know that $30 is barely enough. I know that that sounds crazy, but in a city where cost of stuff is really high, $30 is like the new $15. And honestly, if you did the statistical like back checking, this is true. I never even put in effort to my plan A. I never did the things that I actually wanted. Again, 15 years, no content, just no fucking content. Didn't post a single thing on YouTube when every day I think I had that thought of like, damn, I really wish I can post something. Or I see a video and I'm like, oh, I want to talk about that. That'd be a cool video to do. Ideas galore, you know? It's such a mess in here. It's such a mess. A little backstory, I am Ukrainian. My family immigrated when I was 3 years old to Canada, and my upbringing was just very chaotic, but also structured in different ways. There was a lot in my past that I've worked through and healed from, but something that I still cannot function with is survivor's guilt. Just the feeling like when the war broke out, like the idea of knowing, like, had my parents not made this decision, what the fuck would my life look like? Like back in the day, before the war, I would sometimes think like, oh, what would my life look like if I actually grew up in Ukraine and not middle of nowhere Canada? Or I'd always make this kind of like thought experiment, like where would I pursue ballet further maybe if I was there, or would I, who knows, right? Like it'd be a completely different life. But when the war broke out, like I could not grasp that had my parents not made this decision, a decision that everyone in their sphere basically said was a ridiculous decision. They said, you don't know anyone in Canada, you don't know anyone in here, you don't, like, what are you gonna do? You can't like use your profession. Like my dad is a master's of aerospace engineer, but his credentials wouldn't like come over. So they had to get just like bare end jobs dealing with shit, literally. Nurse and plumber had to deal with literal shit every day just so that their kids can have a better life. And I never really took into consideration just how big that step must have been, how crazy it must have been, how, like, when you're a kid, you think like, oh, well, my parents are basically like the big authority that knows everything. And, if you have a question, you ask them. But my mom was 29 years old when she did this with 2 kids, put herself through fucking nursing school. My dad got his diploma or his certification to be a plumber. Like, like there was struggle, but there was also this very like cookie cutter experience. Like in many ways, my childhood was on the forefront, like looking at it from like like a stranger looking at it. It was literally idealistic, but like internally idealistic, it was not. It was a lot. It was a lot. And some stuff it's like I want to talk about on this channel. Some stuff it's like I don't. Like I have a hard time processing where the trauma dump line of like socially sharing is, because I personally really like videos where people share their experiences. They go into details, like when they actually share what happened to them. Like I think that that is truly the way that the world can heal. There are so many videos that have personally like really saved me and helped me. Just understanding that other people go through the same shit as you, it is so healing. So anyway, that was my intro rant, and now I'm going to start the makeup and continue ranting. So there are so many topics that I want to cover, like social justice topics, of course. Like as I mentioned before, like the war closely affected me, but I can't imagine being someone from Palestine, for instance, who like, is living here, has like Palestinian heritage, because like I can't believe that it is up for debate what's going on in that aspect. Like it actually boggles my mind and has led me into like stillness. Like I'm like not just stillness, but just there was like a month where that shit was going down, and I would just keep looking at the news and I'm like, this has to end, this has to end, this has to end, this has to end, this has to end. And it just fucking doesn't. It always just gets worse. And then, I'd get angry at these creators for, mentioning it, but not actually talking about it. But then here I am, I'm not fucking talking. I'm not donating. Like I'll talk about it in public, but I'm not doing anything, and I should be doing more. And it's always ends up being that it's guilt, guilt, guilt. You should be doing more. Then it's the fear of me basically saying like, yeah, it's a genocide, or having a strong opinion on, how capitalism is literally destroying everything in our ecosystem. Like anytime that I actually talk about this, like I get the sense of doom that it doesn't even matter talking about it, because you cannot change people's minds. Like I've been through so many situations with people that I thought I loved, and I realized that people are not willing to give up anything that makes them feel good. And I am one where I can say, that's me as well. I cannot give up smoking. I cannot give up fucking tobacco. I've been trying. I quit for 2 weeks. Still can't do it. In fact, probably gonna go take a smoke right now, which is really not good. It's really, really, I know it's not good. I know it's not good, okay? But anyway, the foundation is on. The foundation is on. I don't use concealer or anything like that because I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I'm probably gonna look like it's gonna be an intense look. So, smoke break. Like, I want to do so much that it always ended up in just being completely still. Stillness is the death of everything. Every time where I was afraid, like, I'm not gonna get a job, nothing's gonna work out, everything is just gonna collapse into itself, or I'm gonna end up homeless, or just all these really, really scary fears. Stillness is what contributed to them. Moments in my life where I was in flow, like there was a goal at hand and I was stepping towards the goal. Mind is healthy. Mind is healthy. But when you're stuck in something that you're not supposed to be in, or chasing something that actually is not good for you, because we do it all the time. We do it with people, we do it with jobs. You will be running towards something that makes you feel safe and then stagnant, and that safety sometimes keeps you and fear just huddled so closely together. The hard part of this is that I want to talk about so many topics, and that's why, like, I know you're supposed to choose, well, talk about this, talk about that, but the way that my brain works, it connects everything together. So I'm like, if I talk about, if I want to talk about Palestine, then I talk about Ukraine, then I talk about my past, then I talk about psychosis, then I talk about, all this trauma, then I talk about et cetera, et cetera. It just goes there. And then it's like, where's room for any excitement? Where's room for any creation if we're all just in a catastrophe, like in a catastrophic state of mind constantly? I'm not saying this is kind of like, oh, don't pay attention to the news and none of that shit. Like, it's actually horrendous. This was posted yesterday. What the fuck, CNN? Like, halt. So we agree. It is what it is. And you're like, it's gonna be a little hard to halt this. Halt. It's just disgusting. It's disgusting, and I hate it here. I didn't have internet up until I was 14, and then when I had internet, I just like Googled so much and had so much like, just expansion of, I guess, knowledge in a way. I know we want to shit on the internet, but there was a nice little safe zone I find back in the past with it. It wasn't what it is now. There was way less corporatism. Like, when I got access to the internet and I actually learned what the world is like, I realized that countries are kind of just like jails owned by the government, and the government are actually gangsters, if you think about it. Like, what country doesn't have a scandal in government? What country is like perfect? I mean, okay, Finland, I'm not looking at you, but like, I'm just saying that there's always scandal, there's always some politician doing sleazy shit, there's always money laundering, there's always something. It's just some countries are way, like, do it way worse or have interference of other countries like doing it for them. I'm grateful to be in Canada, but it's still a jail. It still follows arbitrary laws. Like, it still doesn't take care of people. There's so much homelessness on the street. The job market is complete ass. Like, it's not taking care of its citizens. And then every week I'll see some article about a CEO getting like a $2 million promotion or some shit. And it's just like, what is that? What actually is that? And I wanted to back off. I wanted to not be in such a hateful attitude. I was like, what if I just tried to, like, there's so many people that don't want to talk about any of this important shit. And they're just kind of like, oh, whatever, I'm going to get my Starbucks. I'm just going to do that. But it's like, and they just kind of go about their life being like, well, I can't really do much about this, so I'm not going to concern myself with this. And I guess it's probably different when, the country that you're born in is going through a full-fledged war. But I don't understand how, like, people can be just so disattached to these kinds of things, because this shit, it eats at me day by day. And people who claim that they're the most empathetic and the most, like, in tune with the world and everything, like, I really genuinely believe that if you're not in tune with also the dark stuff, what is it even for? What is your religion even for? What is your spirituality even for, if it's not to be a better person and make the world better and call out horrible shit when horrible shit is happening? Like, I understand that it's not, we can take on whatever responsibility we want, but it's genuinely baffling to me, people with a sense of security that, know that, like, no matter what happens, that they'll be all right, kind of thing. Like, I wonder how it works. And I think, honestly, I have to be really, really honest with myself, but it is kind of true. It's kind of like when there's too much on your plate and everyone's going through shit. Everyone is going through something or another. Like, everyone is actually going through, we don't know where everyone's head is at. A lot of people don't have the capacity, I realize, to care for these things. But I honestly just wish they would say that. I honestly wish they would just say, hey, this stuff makes me really sad and I don't give a fuck to do anything about it. There's already so many things I've listed here. They're just such separate conversations. Yeah, I guess that this is why I started, because I don't think I'm at the point where I can make a full-on video about Palestine, because goddamn, I've researched my shit about it, or, the Ukrainian war as well. Like, and the reason why, like, in the comments, if someone says stuff like, oh, like, why do you care about Palestine so much if you're from Ukraine? Like, it's a lot of it is one and the goddamn same. And the reason that, honestly, the Palestine situation also affects me so much is because, as a Ukrainian, like, I cannot imagine what is going on in that, like, being away from the situation, but still, like, have relatives there, be closely related to people there, or, knowing you're even from there. Like, I cannot actually fathom how shitty that would feel. People are actually telling you, like, people are losing jobs for you supporting, like, your own heritage. People losing, like, actually losing their life's work. Like, there's been people arrested for that. Like, Benny and Jerry's, man. Speaking of, like, you know, not all rich people are the same. Like, Ben's arrested for this shit? Like, are you kidding me? That actually blows my mind. And the truth is so vile that it's probably feels so comforting to be like, well, I don't know too much about it. I don't want to research it. And it seems like, you know, there's this both sides are wrong kind of situation. Like, I can't imagine just being someone from, like, Palestine, having family there, and being in a first world country and actually hearing people day in and day out contemplate the lives that are, like, lost. This shit being up for fucking debate. Like, as a Ukrainian, it's like, you know, there's so much support for Ukraine. The general public is so like, yeah, go Ukraine, boo Russia, and, like, you know, the world gathered around Ukraine and helped and helped and helped. And I mean, now the conversation's changing in Canada because everyone is like, oh, we're sending so much money to Ukraine and all this fucking shit. And it's crazy the way people that actually never had to deal with this kind of stuff, never seen how it affected their family members. And even I'm like, I'm away from it to such an extent. I barely know, like, I have extended family in Ukraine, but I don't really keep up with them other than the occasional happy birthday post, like, for this stuff. And this isn't like, don't come at me for the, like, not going deeply into the vulgarity of all the horrible stuff that's going on. We know what's going on. It's a genocide. There are horrors far beyond our imagination. And I've seen so much shit that, like, about it and how it, like, about the terror of it all. It's so gruesome and bad. I don't think that talking about that is what I can actually personally attest to. I can't imagine what being in rubble and just fear all the time is like. But at the same time, my mental health got so bad of, like, researching and being up top of the news and, you know, just engulfing myself with the fear and the uncertainty of my own life. Meanwhile, completely neglecting actually my true values, not actually using, or not value, like, neglecting my voice. And by neglecting my voice, I also kind of neglect my values. So yeah, I want people to understand that overall, just everything that happened in my life, like, how batshit insane psychosis is as an experience and going through it multiple times. And this is my biggest fear. It's that I'm just gonna be forever crazy, like, forever labeled the crazy girl, the, like, oh, she's talented, but, you know, she's a little wacko and all. Like, I have this ingrained fear that, like, nothing will ever come out of this. Nothing will actually happen. And that my voice, like, just genuinely won't matter. And I know that sounds kind of, like, sad and corny to say, but that is my fear. But I realize that by not doing it, by not putting myself out there, it's like every day that fear wins. Every single day, then that fear just wins. And also, like, as I'm doing this, I've never really done this before with this intention. It's therapeutic as fuck. It's therapeutic right now as fuck. And therapy, I'm in therapy right now, but, like, this is different. This is like a reconnection to me. It's interesting knowing, like, what I'm gonna talk about without the actual and suffocating, like, doom of having something planned out. Like, I thought that it wouldn't work. I mean, the fact that it's actually working is good. Like, there are so many things, like, now it's like I feel like with this out, I can actually talk about something structured in the next video. Like, I remember I was in high school, and something about me is that I was a big goody two-shoes overachiever. I was known as, like, I got the art bursary or whatever. I had wacky hair in high school. Like, I knew that, hey, if I, you know, they tell me if I get good grades and I go to a really cool school for university, I'm gonna get, like, a really good job and do well in life. And don't get me wrong, I've accomplished things. I've worked in the film industry for a little while. I worked as a florist. I worked, you know, at a HVAC company for automation graphics design, you know. Like, there have been moments in my life where there were kind of, like, more stable things, but for some reason, sticking to stability feels like something is eating me up inside. The idea of, like, this perfect job, like, I cannot believe that I was sold on the mission. Like, I love the film industry, but only because like I worked on things that actually felt like I felt really good on. I know that if I was working 16-hour days on a goddamn Hallmark movie, I would not, I would feel just as burnt out, if not more burnt out, again and again. Like, I don't know what my path holds. I really don't. And it's interesting because if you want more and you're not in a place of success, if you want more, right? But you're not in a place of success, people look at you in such a like ludicrous, like, who do they think they are kind of way. Like, everyone is just kind of like, they don't see the vision. No one's gonna see the vision. But when people have like a bit of success or have something going for them, like, and they have like already standing on some kind of form of success, then I find that it's socially acceptable to kind of aim higher. I don't really know, you know, like everyone talks about like brand identity and art identity and like niches and all this stuff, but for the love of God, I don't think I will ever, ever, ever have a niche. I like too many things, and that is my greatest joy and my greatest challenge in life. Like, I could easily just make, you know, videos about me improving on graphic design or me improving in my art or anything of that sort. But apparently, I don't like work as much as I think I like work. And maybe it's not about work. Maybe it's because I have catered to my plan Bs for so long. Like, my plan A was always to be a versatile creative. All my favorite people are versatile in everything that they do. Like, they do it all. And I love that because it's like pretty early on we're told kind of like, you can't have it all. You have to kind of stick in an avenue. Avenues kind of suck. Like, I want to, you know, I want to be a world of experiences. And I feel like because we live in this world of like, we live in a very, very money, everything is about money. It's always about money. Even my life, I can attest to that. Like, we live in just, it's a money hungry world. Even me, I'll admit, like, I'm money hungry. I want, but again, I want financial freedom. I don't ever, ever want excess wealth. I'm not gonna lie, I just don't see how anything in this world right now makes sense. Like, it's like we forget that we're literally animals. Like, we are so convinced that, you know, so many of us just believe like, oh, maybe we're aliens or something. We're an invasive species. No, we're not an invasive species. We are a sick species. We are a sick species. If you look at any indigenous freaking culture, almost any indigenous culture, it's like they knew how to not mess things up. They knew how to treat the land with respect. One of the best, like, coolest, like, lectures I had in architecture school was when our environment teacher, like, for an environmental course, like, he talked about this duck, a rubber duck. And he said, what is the purpose of this? And think about the, like, repercussions of the landfill. And even then, we know certain things are bad, but we can't stop it. We know that Amazon, not the greatest company. We can't stop it. We need it. Over-consuming. The pollution is so out of whack. So out of whack. Things just don't take time to degrade, and we're, instead of like, you know, putting a stop to it, instead of stopping to shop at like fast fashion brands and stuff, we don't. It's unnatural. None of this is like anything, nothing in my room here feels natural. Like, the way we build buildings for environments isn't really natural. Yeah, so basically that's just, I don't know. I just think we honestly all would be much happier in thriving ecological communities that actually fostered sustainability rather than profit. Like, being sustainable, being conscious, being environmentally actually there. Being in a community just, you know, embroidering clothes for all day, then going hunting and just enjoying nature. That's literally all I want. All I want. But what do I do instead is I doom scroll. I can't get off my phone. I'm so not aligned with what I want and what I do. It's actually, I think that is the driving force for a mental health breakdown, honestly. Because then you're convinced that you want certain things that you don't actually want. That you don't actually want. And I truly believe that, like, technology is not the enemy here. I don't even believe that, like, AI is the enemy. AI is something new and something that we are all on this wild journey of. It's not AI's fault that it exists, okay? It is how people use it, the greed that is attached to how people use this tool, that I think is truly, like, what is wrong. Things are just so backwards. Like, I came to this conclusion that actually I have, like, my favorite and least favorite color is the same color. My favorite color is like a dark foresty kind of green with maybe even a pinch of like blue undertones. And then my least favorite color is this corporate lime green, because it just screams like corporate, like, I don't even know. It's just such a like, it's everywhere. It's like every brochure, every ad, every brand that wants to seem fresh, they just use it, and it's intoxicating. Something can be the same, but also so different. And I think that that's kind of helped me a lot in life to look at things a little bit differently. When I'm like stuck in like a hatred of something and an absolute like, just, this is vile, how can anyone like not see this, and etc., usually around a particular annoying orange. But like, I just remind myself that like somewhere out there someone's favorite color is lime green because they just gravitate towards it, they like it. It's just that you can't change what someone likes and enjoys, no matter how vile you think it is. There is someone where it's not like, they don't see the world the way that I fundamentally do. I do not care. If you like lime green, that is fine. That like, I just personally feel like I was traumatized with that color. But anyway, my point to say though is that I don't think that like, you can't change someone's opinion about what their favorite thing is. Like, they'll just like what they like. Like, so many people, I realize, like, this is where I feel that I just don't connect, is that they really don't overthink things. Like, they don't make connections of like what they actually fundamentally care about. It's just, again, it's all about just what feels good. It's just gluttony. Like, it's weird how we approach billionaires, because I think of them, most of them, as hoarders. Sick people with a sick problem. Because any study can say, like, there's this funny tweet, like, where, you know, if there was a study showing monkeys having like 30,000 bananas, meanwhile other monkeys don't have a single banana, and then that monkey not allowing them to take the 30,000 bananas, we'd look at that and be like, oh, this monkey is ill. But in our society, we congratulate the ill. Because we were raised in such a weird, jaded society, connecting to actually what you want isn't even what you actually want. Like, how do I know what I want if my entire feed is clogged to absolute no end of just 5,000 thoughts at a second? You know, many of them the same kind of content, like many of them repeating trends, repeating things. Like, of course, then I rock it into my system that like, well, this is the shit that I should be caring about. This is the shit that I should be caring about. Like, I remember I had this one conversation with my family when I was like 15, and I was just kind of like, we belong in nature and fuck capitalism. It was like the start of it all, kind of. I remember thinking to myself, like, why can't they see it? Why can't they get it? And having this like talk with them, and they said like, well, like, how would you feel if you couldn't use, like, you know, if we didn't advance as a society and we didn't have toilets, what would do you want to use the outhouse outside? Like, is that what you want? I lived at a lodge, so we had like outhouses there at the time. I remember just being like defeated and being like, ugh, no, of course I don't want to use an outhouse. But now it's not so much about the outhouse situation. It's about the fact that you would look crazy. You would look super strange if you chose to use an outhouse. If we were all living in nature where things were actually like the way they're supposed to be, I feel like you wouldn't think of it as an outhouse. It would just be your body doing its thing. Like, I don't understand. Like, I truly just feel like, to say, like, not even an old soul, like, I feel like an ancient, tired, very distraught soul. Like, I've always felt that way. Like, everything is just so distressing. Even I'm feeling myself kind of get annoyed with myself, because it's like, well, girly, you don't really do the things that make you happy. You specifically just continue engaging in behaviors that you know are destructive. And then you wonder about how to be happy and why other people are happy and why other people are succeeding. Meanwhile, you don't even try. I'm not a jealous person. Like, I experience jealousy. I'm not crazy. I'm not like, oh, I'm never jealous. But like, if I'm jealous, I'm usually like, oh my God, I love your hair. I'm jealous. I wish I had hair like that. Or I'm jealous of your physique or whatever. Like, there's jealousy there. There's jealousy, and like, I'm jealous of like certain people, how they have like much calmer demeanors. They're not so agitated all the time. I'm jealous of that. But I can like calmly and just I can like see that as a trait that I'm like, damn, like I really like that trait. But it doesn't stop me. Like some traits, like the hair thing, it's like, well, my hair isn't like that. Just because a rose exists doesn't mean that a lily isn't just as pretty, right? Like it's like potato potato. Or some jealousy, it's kind of like I'm jealous of, someone just having this very like collected and confident energy about themselves. Like my boyfriend, he's just like super calm, collected, and like very rarely does he have like inner doubt, it feels. And so it's like, damn, I'm jealous of that, but I'm like, I'm not, like, I try to embody that. I try to be a little bit more like that in a healthy, good way, I think. Like in a calming myself down kind of way. But my God, I'm an envious person. A very, very envious person. ContraPoint's video on envy really just took me in through a loop because I thought jealousy and envy were like synonyms. But jealousy is wanting something, you just want it and you don't have it, so you're jealous. Envy is you see someone have it and you think, I don't want anyone to have it. I don't want this to exist. I want this gone. And I struggle with that because envy is not a good emotion. Like it's actually a really, really, really frustrating emotion and a very heavy emotion. And when I actually thought to myself, oh my goodness, like I'm envious, like I just don't think that this job should even exist, or I don't think that billionaires should exist, or I've realized that we don't have that much control. I want to have control. I want to just in a blink of an eye, wish that the wealth was redistributed. It just doesn't happen that way. Creativity really does feel like the only outlet, genuinely, of meditation that I have. It is the only thing that feels like when I'm doing it, I am coming home to something. Like even though art is my home, not always is it safe, because at a certain point, art just meant like, well, I have to do this because now I've decided I'm an artist and I want this to be my life goal and it's unconventional. But then there's a certain point where I'm like, if I'm creating, like, am I even enjoying what I'm creating? I felt like my art had to have a more meaning behind it. It had to have presence. It had to reflect the bullshit that is our world. I was trying to prove that to the world, like to show it my pain. At the end of the day, it really was just showing pain. Even for posts that I thought were like all about empowerment and kind of like this like fuck the system and all this stuff, it was really actually a show of pain. And on one hand, it's great. It's great that art can express pain, but it also just became the thief of joy, because now I think of like, if I'm creating, I must be suffering. And my brain, it can't make the connection that we're not there anymore. We beat those goddamn demons. Like, this is kind of like testimony to getting the joy for art back, getting the passion for art back. Passion and trust was just something that was lacking in my life for so long. I could not trust the process. I needed everything to be perfect. If it's not perfect, it's not worthy of sharing. And that is just such a horrible and messed up way to live. Because honestly, even if I do see something that's quote unquote like a masterpiece and it's just like the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, I like it and then I scroll. The things that actually make me like ponder, make me think, make me actually like register something is the perfection of the imperfection. Seeing people go through things where you would never imagine that they actually are going through something like that. Like videos where people are actually showing the more nitty gritty aspects of themselves. Like that's what I admire, that's what I like, and that's what I honestly want to see more of. And that is why I'm doing this. Like you have to become sometimes the person that you want to see. I'm turning 27 in like a few days. I do really want to be comfortable in a room of all versions of myself, but it's hard seeing my inner child and actually talking to her is so goddamn hard. I see the younger versions of myself, and I feel so bad, and I don't want to feel bad. I want them to also be able to talk to me. I want to reach those old versions of the past and have us be able to actually talk with one another, and not me be so afraid of them and them be afraid of me. I used to think like, oh my God, I can't even recognize myself. I can't even recognize myself. And I thought like, that's a good thing. We're evolving. We're always Like if you're stagnant and you're the same, like no one's the same person that they are when they were 12. Growth is good, but growth is also not running away. I'm constantly in the past thinking about the past as someone I don't recognize. That's not growth, that's running away. That is running away. Now, I needed space. I needed so much space from that person. That is so true. Like you can sometimes need spaces from versions of yourself. Like after I graduated, I, worked a bit in the city I was from, and then I moved 3,000 kilometers away, like on a whim, and went cherry picking with a guy I literally met the night before. And that was probably one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life. Like hands down, living where I'm living now, it's a privilege. I was stuck in a very I wasn't in a big city before, in a very cold place of the world. It wasn't great. But now it's like there's community here. There's a leisure, there's a more energy, and it's nice. Like I like my life. I know that we're not supposed to, be happy with being unemployed, but I can't express how this break has been the change for me of a lifetime. Like I feel like I can breathe. Every time a closed door closed, it led to something better. I think about how nice it is that I'm letting my voice speak. I want to be the person that I so desperately wish I saw talk about these things. It's interesting because I feel usually like I can talk nonstop without ever even stopping for breath. I'm actually almost out of words. Baby steps. That's so beautiful that you can just try again and again and again. Just keep trying. You don't have to succumb to something you don't want. You don't have to do the things that you constantly don't want to do. You don't have to live by anyone's rules other than your own. And that's just the truth. Things, I think, take time. Like everything falls into place the way it does. All experience or something that you have to learn. Oh my god, this video is gonna be really hard to edit. I want to feel happy. There, I said it. I want to feel happy for myself. I want to feel at home in my art. I want it to be playful. It's so hard to feel in my body. It's gone through so much that just the simple act of creating I'm constantly, just even as I'm doing this, just worried about the job, worried about everything just falling apart in my life. And I want to get to the fucking bottom of it. Well, my dear sweet bee, that will take time, but I want it now. Well, you're still kind of lost in the woods. It's gonna take a while to find your way back. How will I even know when I'm back? What if by the time I get back, everything's gone? Well, then you'll build. You'll start fresh, gather everything you need. And what if the world burns down? Well, then the world burns down. It's not gonna be your fault. I really don't know what this video is about, but I think it's about starting. It's about starting. Well, let's get this look done then, shall we? Turned out freaky. Not exactly what I had in mind, but I don't mind it. It's weird and chaotic and kind of resembles where I'm at. But yeah, that's kind of what this is all about. It's starting, enjoying, just going with the flow. We just had fun with it. All of this is for fun. I'm not gonna lie. It looks weird. It's not what I wanted, but next time. There's always a next time. I was going for this Renaissance look, but we'll make do. So, if you made it this far, thank you for coming to my first video.